Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, and that's very exciting in and of itself. And this is the Coffee Break Show. I'm Vickie Helm. You're in the Smart Life Club today, and I am so excited to be here today. It's Friday. It's the day we actually get to hang out and talk about all the successes we had this week. It's the day that we get to hang out and realize that we have accomplished so much in this week. You know, it was interesting yesterday. I was talking to Robin and I thought to myself, you know what? It's interesting when I'm working and I'm having fun. I don't feel like I've worked. I feel like, hey, nice to see you, Gloria. Welcome aboard. It's nice to see everybody onboarding. So I was talking to Robin yesterday and I was thinking to myself, what is it that when I have fun at work, when I have fun doing stuff, I think I'm not working. Therefore, I need to do something tough or hard, because if I do that, then I'm working. And then I realized I had equated having painful work, that's work. Having pleasurable work, that's not work. And the truth is, work is actually fun, but I busted myself. I busted myself last night saying to myself, did I get that much done? Man, I got a lot done today. But I had so much fun doing it. Now imagine what it'd be like to get up every single morning and you realize you live your dream life. You realize you're doing your dream work, whether that's writing a book or doing a live or making Facebook posts or whatever you're doing to make your business happen, to make it run well, to make it be really exciting. And you think to yourself, this is really fun to do. Now, what happens when we change the tune or the tone or the belief that work is arduous, work is painful? What happens when we change the tone of that to, I love what I'm doing. I love doing this. I love talking about this. I love writing about this. I feel like I'm making a difference in the world. What happens when we change our tune in that way? Well, I'm going to tell you, I believe that what happens is we attract more abundance. We attract more opportunities. And so what I realized I like doing is I like getting better at skill sets, whatever those skill sets are. Like I've been writing books now for, I don't know, decades. At least 2 decades. And I've got 24 of them out. And at first, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just writing. But as I started reading more, and I started seeing how other writers created sentences, I suddenly started falling in love with reading more, because I suddenly saw books in a different way. I saw how other writers sculpted sentences. And then suddenly I started improving the sculpting of my sentence and working at it. And that's what they call honing your skill, when you hone your skill. And to me, the best way to hone your skill is to look at other people in your industry and see how they operate, what they work on, what tips can you garner from them? And then you get masterful at them as you begin to practice them, as you begin to put them out, and suddenly the work becomes joyful. Suddenly I was proud of myself. And suddenly I didn't mind writing at all. I liked it a lot, because I suddenly could remember all the different ways I learned to sculpt a sentence. It's with anything. It's like if you do carpentry and your work gets better and better and better and better over a period of time as you study other carpenters and you say, oh my gosh, this guy uses this technique and I really like it. And you invite that technique with you. You invite that technique along in your own little, box of tools that you have that you can use. And that's the way everything for me becomes fun, and it becomes something to celebrate. You celebrate the success of another because you realize what it took to get to that caliber. You realize all the work it took to get where you needed to be, where you wanted to progress to. And those kind of things are what Fridays are for. Gloria says our energy goes higher when we change our tune. Yes, Yes, it does. Our energy that for success goes higher when we allow others to go ahead and be with us and teach us, and we can take from others. We only get better or higher when we allow other people to have success that we celebrate. When we allow ourselves to celebrate others, then others can celebrate us. And when we allow ourselves the time to go ahead and really contemplate somebody's technique in something, somebody's how, we can also tap in to their genius and see it. We can experience their genius. And at that point, we're at a whole other level. When you see someone else's genius, you begin to see your own genius. And that's why art and music and all of that, it's so extraordinary, because it is that same process. It's listening to different types of music all the time. And you can see even artists that you think just listen to pop, some are classically trained. Like I saw an interview with Pink, and she was saying how she was trained in opera, and so was Pat Benatar. Pat Benatar was an opera singer, and they, combined that skill set and made rock and roll and pop music and things that people loved and enjoyed. And they just kept honing their skill until they become an artist. And that's what I think everyone is, actually. When you get to a point of mastery, you actually stop being a degree, like, hi, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a this, and you're truly an artist. You're an artist about the way you think about a problem. You're an artist the way you think about how you're going to handle something. And on Fridays, the most empowering thing you can do is sit down and recognize how much you've learned that week, how much you've done that week, how many things you had to break through that week, because you get to meet yourself then. You get to meet the genius in you that is willing to triumph by moving forward and pushing past your block, or pushing past your current point of view and shifting it. And that takes time and practice. And time and practice. Hey, Dee Dee, hey, Karen, everybody. Nice to see you guys on. Nice to see everybody on. Practice is what allows us to get great. Practice is what allows us to get great. And today, I actually thought to myself, what's really funny is when you actually start growing yourself, really growing yourself. Happy Friday, everyone. It's been a really great week. When you start growing yourself, there is something that happened to me today that I just thought was so good and so unusual, and I want to share it with you. I want to share the thing that I learned today. Hey, Suzanne, nice to see you all. Today, I actually caught myself with the desire to be right. And so I thought to myself, now, why do we like being right so much? Why does it feel so good to be right? And the need to be right happens when we're defensive. And being right is like, it's this mental thing that we do to ourselves that helps us have some sense of self-importance when we're right. But the truth is, we become delusional on our feelings of being right, because they always turn into righteousness. And when we have these feelings of righteousness, that's when we play the I'm right card, we often turn it into this unhealthy righteousness. So we become drunk on our own self-importance, and we think, oh, it's time to be the leader, time to change you, trying to make you different, or trying to make you be absolutely something that you aren't. And on this Friday, when we take a look at it, the truth is, we don't make good decisions when we're harboring the perspective or the point of view of, oh my God, I've got to be right. It's like when you get hooked on that feeling of being right, all it does is show everybody your lack of self-esteem. Because when we're defensive and we have to be right, every single time, you're telling everybody, if I'm not right, I'm bad. If I'm not right, I'm wrong. And being wrong is being bad. And the thing is, when you don't know this, but when you're addicted to righteousness or being right, you become a bully. It's the number one way adults become a bully, because when you start telling people what's wrong with their point of view or what's wrong with them, it helps you feel more righteous, and more people begin to, when you feel that way, you start scolding a person for their behavior without evaluating their intention. Now, I want to give you an example of that. When I was in college, I must have been about 19 or 20 years old. I worked at McDonald's like everybody else does. I just worked at McDonald's. And I was in the drive-through, and it was snowing, and it was a Christmas rush. Everybody was shopping, and we were like, make sure you say Merry Christmas to everybody. And I was like, okay. So I was like, hey, Merry Christmas, handing them their food, Merry Christmas. And I did it with intention of love. I really meant Merry Christmas when I said it. And this one car pulled up, and there was a woman with the daughter in the back. And I handed the stuff, and I said, Merry Christmas. And she turned around and screamed at me at the top of her lungs. She was like, not everybody celebrates Christmas. You don't even know. And her daughter went into shock. You could see her. She was sitting next to her mom, and she went, and this woman was screaming at me, mostly because there was a window between me and her, and mostly because she knew at the time it was like the customer's always right. And what she did was just scold me and yell at me about saying, you know, happy holidays over Merry Christmas. And I remember that thing so strongly in my head, because all I kept saying to myself, you know, you're 20, so you're kind of innocent. You're like a colt. You're just starting to live. And I thought, why couldn't she see my intention? Why could she not see I meant her no harm by saying Merry Christmas? Ego is behind driven righteousness. It really is. And the thing is, you don't understand that when you're in that defense and you believe you're right, it's like an orgasm for your ego. It's like, oh my God, I'm right. I'm somebody. I'm finally, it's very fast. It's like a nanosecond that happens. Then that being right is so important to you because it gives you a sense of importance, because you don't have a sense of importance. The truth is, when your ego walks like that and you have to be right, everybody who has true self-esteem, real self-esteem, authentic self-esteem, can see that you don't. Can see that yours is dependent on being right all the time and righteousness. People who truly love themselves, they don't see wrongness in other people. I want to let that sink in for a moment. People who have truly authentic, genuine self-esteem don't see wrongness or rightness in other people. So what do they see? Instead, they see the soul having an experience of a life created by their point of view. What you focus on grows. What you believe is what happens. What you say is what materializes. That's the whole point of it's the power right there of having a point of view. And so what happens when people who have true self-esteem and they have true self-love, their goal isn't to be right. Their goal is to connect. They want to listen and connect with somebody. They don't want to be right. They want to have a person feel loved and heard and listened to. They don't need to be, oh my God, I'm right about this. They don't try to talk you out of your perspective. They don't try to talk you out of your point of view. They might say, this is my experience, and they share. They don't try to overtake the conversation and say, this is me, this is mine, I am right. They try to share their experience. And sharing your experience is very different than becoming a bully and not realizing that you're bullying somebody trying to be right or righteous. You guys are talking so fast. There are people who fight to be right, Gloria says. I allow them to be who they are and walk away because nothing anyone says will make any difference. Good morning, somebody says. Suzanne says, self-esteem and righteousness conflict each other. Man, that's true. That should be a bumper sticker right there. And so let's see. Smart says, if you think you have to be right every time, you're showing your lack of confidence. It's true. And, you know, Barb said this, and I want to say it again. Ego is behind driven righteousness every single time. People who truly love themselves, have great self-esteem, don't see wrongness or rightness in other people. They don't see anything wrong. They just see it as needing more love and more connection and more sharing. And this is the truth. It's like once you understand and self-reflect, if you have to be right or no, you're wrong. You're wrong about this. The second you're saying you're wrong, you're saying I'm right to somebody else. And what happens in defensiveness is that we try to pull somebody over to our opinion. You're doing this is wrong. You're doing this way is right. You're doing this is, you're acting like this is bad and wrong. You're not acting like this. This is how you should act. This is how you shouldn't act. Anytime we do that to somebody else's experience, we're not letting them have their own experience. We're not letting them be who they are. And let's say you absolutely don't like who they are. Well, when you don't like who they are, then it's time to move on from who they are. You have choices about being with who you can be with or who you want to be with or how you want to be with. But true self-esteem, it's really gentle. It's really kind. It's really loving. It doesn't have this, I'm going to change you and it's got to be my way or the highway 100% of the time. You know, it's interesting too, because people want to have like things like cooperatives, and they want to have things like that are partnership driven, but they only want the partners to follow their lead. Where's the cooperation in that? Where's the leadership in that? Where's the partnership in that? Partnership takes advanced thinking, and advanced thinking includes the heart and the soul. It doesn't negate it, and it doesn't, you know, thinking is a full body experience. If you get a gut check, that's a thought. If you get a gut check, if you get a red flag, that's a thought. It's a silent thought. You may not know what the red flag is, but you can feel I have a red flag going up, and you can investigate that. So what happens when you feel defensive? I'll tell you what I do when I feel defensive. This is what I do. I stop in the middle of the conversation and I say, wait. I'm too defended right now. I can't hear you. I can only hear my defense. And what that does is it gives me a moment to challenge my thought, challenge my perception, challenge my point of view. And then you have to be willing to smash your unhealthy ego, because in delusion, you're not going to make good decisions. And if you're running a business or you're signing that contract or you're doing what you're doing, you've got to be on point. On point means you have to have all of you with you. And if you're defensive, the only thing that's leading the show is your ego. That's it. When you become gentle, you become kind, you become a way of saying, how can I connect more? If I'm not sure, I tell everybody that I'm in the meeting, I'll go, I'm sorry, you lost me. Could you repeat this again? I'm not sure I heard you correctly. And I listen again. You have to be open enough to listen. And so what happens is, if your ego comes on, or if your defense comes on, your heart has to come in, your soul has to come in and say, I know you're here, and I respect that you're here, but I'm in charge. If you let them in charge, you'll run amok and have this massive unnecessary fight. You'll have power struggle, because that's how power struggle is. Power struggle is the I'm right, no, I'm right. No, I'm right, no, I'm right. No, I'm right, no, I'm right. No, you got it wrong. You're stupid, you're this, you're that. No, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. That's power struggle. You have unnecessary arguments over that because you can't address your self-esteem issue. You know, Jack Canfield used to say that most all problems are self-esteem issues. And the thing is, we can't just feel the pain in the moment of our ego saying we have to be right. And then we live off the drug of, oh my God, I'm right. Oh God, I'm right. I know I'm right. I told you I was right. Then we walk around all day. I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. Somehow we dig that. And we're like, oh my God, I'm right. You have to understand that rightness is a drug of delusion. Rightness is the drug of delusion. It's addictive and you unhook yourself to it. And it's a great thing. So you have choices about who you want to be with. You don't need to spend your time with negative narcissistic bullies. That's right. You're worth more than that. Robin says, smash the ego takes a level of awareness, then dissolve defensiveness. Yes. Let me tell you, if you want more success and you want to make a quantum leap into success, then one of the best things you can do is smash your ego and know how to let it go in a moment. Just let it go, the practice of it. It doesn't mean they have to let go of their ego. You have to want to have what you want to have more than anything else and say, yes, I want to let go of my ego right now because I would rather have my dream life than be right. What is it that Harvecker used to say, you can be right or you can be rich. You can be right or you can be rich. So Smart Life says, what do you do when you feel defensive? Stop yourself. Tell yourself that you're being defensive. You're allowing your ego to be in control. And you know, that's so right. When I do that, my whole team is so considerate. In fact, I don't know anyone that has not been considerate when I said, wait a minute. I'm so defensive right now, I can't hear you. I'm so defensive. All I can do is hear me in this moment. And they all go, oh, we'll give you a second. There's nobody that has jumped on me and said, no, you got to listen to me right now. Everybody is super kind when you say that. Everybody's like, if you are upfront, let me find out what I'm telling myself. Gloria says, I like that. Rightness is a drug of delusion. Yes, because it is. So smash your ego, let it go. Suzanne says, love this. Smash your ego to more success. Amazing. Thank you. So what happens is you have to choose you. And I want to be really clear. It's not another person who has to choose you. You do. And what are you choosing? You are choosing your heart and your soul over your ego. That's the choice you make in every second. And the first times you do it, you're not going to bat 1,000. I didn't, at least. There are some days that I am like defensive as all get out, and Robin will be like, hoo, look at you all defensive. And I'll be like, yes, I am. I am defensive. Wow, that's right, I am defensive. What am I trying to protect? And it's usually a feeling of tenderness of, am I good enough? Am I all right? Do you still love me? It's all these tender little kid feelings that my adult thinks it needs to protect when it doesn't. And so the thing is, how can you touch your tenderness little self so that you can guide you? So that the adult you can go, of course, honey, you're enough. We're just talking about decisions here. We're not telling you you're bad or wrong. You're good. You've always been good. You were born good. And that way, at least you can parent yourself into a state of well-being. Self-esteem doesn't happen because you have perfect action all the time. Self-esteem happens because you would rather be in a state of love and loving yourself more than you would rather be in a state of hate and hating yourself. Do you get that? Self-esteem gives you learn these tools to manage that. Self-esteem is when you choose to be in a state of love more than you choose to be in a state of self-hate of anything in the world at any place in time. So the cue is, if you're feeling righteousness or I got to be right, it's got to be now, it's got to be here, then you've lost your center. Most everybody needs to just go back and find their heart and say, I am willing to feel my hurt. I'm willing to feel my heart. When I do that, I say, what am I telling myself? Because the truth is, you tell yourself stuff and blame it on your partner or the person you're talking to. You'll say in your mind, well, they just think I'm stupid. They just think I'm this. And then you say out loud, I'm not stupid, you know. I'm not this, you know. And they're like, what? Never said that. Don't even believe it. And it's you who's saying that to yourself. And once you nail that you're saying it to yourself, you can go, stop it immediately. You can stop it and go, I know the difference between what I'm saying to myself, and now am I open enough to listen to what they're saying and actually receive their message. Because I will tell you this, if somebody is in front of you and they're in relationship with you, chances are they respect you. And oftentimes they love you. And they don't not love you. And they want balance with you. They don't want power struggle. They want balance with you. They want you to be happy with them. And that's the truth. And a lot of times what we can't accept is that somebody doesn't know how to have balance with us, and it's work. We have to figure it out. So this weekend, while you're taking this, pain creates ego, therefore self-esteem cannot be successful. Yes. Robin says tender, vulnerable feelings can spark a protective response of defensiveness. It's true. So this weekend, the best thing you can do is practice being gentle and kind with yourself and speak to both of you. There's the little you and the adult you, and you are both together. And the little you has all the little wants that any little kid has. Hug me, tell me I'm great, buy me chocolate and coffee, just saying. And so this weekend, when you're with yourself and you find yourself being defensive, if you could just catch yourself going, oh, because defensiveness, when you're defensive, you're like, ah, and you don't even know why. It just happens really fast. Just be gentle. Barb says we're only human. Ego is there to deal with for all of us. It's vital to be aware of its power and its impact. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to end on that. Barb, you have good stuff, babe. I'll see you guys Monday, 9 o'clock on the Pacific side, Mountain side. I'll see you at 10, 12 on the East Coast. Mwah! Have a really, really great weekend, you guys. Bye.